Good morning and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. If you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys. Good morning, good night. Thank you for choosing the Body Snatchers podcast. Tino here, hanging out with Steven. Steven, how are you?
What's happening?
What's up, man? If you guys can't see Steven, he's got a really cool Kirby/Venom shirt on right now.
Oh yeah, this camera's wide. This new camera's wide. It's not Kirby. It's Boo, but Venom got him.
Oh, is it?
Symbiote.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no. Well, I wear glasses, so that's a thing. Now I like it less. And then I've got the Dragon Zord shirt on myself, so out here doing our thing. Also, before we get too far into everything, make sure you guys check out Steven and myself. We have links in the description, but you can find Steven at twitch.tv/SteveNotHere. And you can find myself at twitch.tv/Tino plus Ultra. Also, if you're new to this podcast, please head over to bodysnatchersmedia.com. You can find us on all different forms of social media. So we're on Twitter, obviously Twitch, as mentioned, with our other co-hosts that are here, Instagram and Facebook. I think that's everything for the most part that we're kind of keeping up with these days.
Yeah, that's everything. I hate your glasses, by the way.
Why? Because they look like anime glasses when the light hits them?
Grandma glasses. Are you a variety streamer? Is that how you deem yourself?
Yeah, so variety streamer is absolutely what I do. So you'll see me kind of flip through a couple of things. Right now, playing Ghost of Tsushima, which has been amazing. I mean, I've already beaten the game and streamed it, but they just recently released the director's cut. So I had to rebuy the game on PS5. It's a whole other story, but it's great. I'm also siphoning through, what else did I have on there? Final Fantasy VII, the DLC with Yuffie.
Devil May Cry you were playing the other day.
Yeah, Devil May Cry. That one's just kind of for fun. And then
Okay.
There's another game. What was the name of that game? It's a newer one. Well, it's not new. I'm sorry. It's an older game, Life is Strange, that came out by Square Enix some years ago. That one's like a really
That's
weird
an old
one.
game.
It is, but like I've been playing it kind of like seldomly late at night just to turn it on and have something to do. It's a really frustrating game. I've found like all these awful things are constantly happening to this girl in her hometown, and the game kind of locks you in where everybody treats you like shit. So like for instance, she went to go meet her old best friend most recently when I played, and you're like locked in a room. And her best friend is like a whole piece of shit. Like, I understand she's suffering from depression and everything, but it's just like the room is a complete mess. She's like, help me find this thing. And then her friend lays on the bed and like doesn't help. And she's like smoking a cigarette in the room. And I'm like, I hate everything about her. She's like 16. There's beer bottles everywhere. And I'm just like, I hate this. I hate everything about this.
Well, before we get into our subtopics, I just think, do you think we're at a deficit being variety streamers? Because I know we got a lot of young, ambitious streamers that listen to the show. I just wanted to get your opinion on, like, me and you, we jump around, you know, if we're gaming, we're streaming. Like, we don't focus on just one game. We're not just playing The Sims 4. We're not just playing Path of Exile. We're jumping all over the place. What's hot? Do you think for a following and our growth, are we at a deficit?
I don't think so. For me, and again, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I mean, you look at somebody like Ninja who, you know, plays a lot of games but specializes in Fortnite. Like, you're going to have streamers like that. But for your average person who's not going to be as lucky, and obviously there's going to be less opportunity for streaming as time moves on, you know, because it's just such a big thing. It's getting harder and harder to break into, like podcasting or anything else. I think that mix your games up so that you have fun. The important thing is that you have fun, but you also want to offer things, you know, to your community. Like, for instance, like I play Final Fantasy VII, and even though I love it, a lot of my community, you know, they can't stomach it for too long. They enjoy me as a person. They enjoy each other in the community, like talking live. They all get to meet up, tell each other about their days. It's awesome. But I can't play. If I played Final Fantasy every day, they would stop coming without a doubt. But if I play it like once a week or every other week, they might make some jokes like, oh, not this game again. You know, let's joke about when Tino got mad last time. But then the next day or whatever, it's something that they like. Then it's like, cool, you mix it around. And then it also gives you the opportunity to focus on maybe something that's a little bit more popular so you can try it out. They can watch you try it out. And it's kind of exciting. It's like, oh, maybe I'll buy this game. Let's see how it goes. And I don't know. That's just my opinion on it.
Right. Like what I do is, say if I stream 3 days a week, which is the plan. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it works out too much. But my game for me personally is Destiny 2. I get on with the boys. That's what I play. I still stream. I have a good time. The homies come through. I meet some new people. That's cool. Then I'll play Noita, which is Twitch integration. People get to vote. People get to be involved. They like it. They stay entertained. I get bored of it rather easy. Then I play something new like Paint the Town Red that just came out a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And it's a new game. It's a fun game. It's an indie game. You know, everyone enjoys it. Everyone sees it. Everyone likes the experience. But I still have my one day where I pretty much do whatever I want. And if I get people in the chat, that's awesome. That's the goal. If I get nobody, hey, at least I got to play my game. So I was just wondering, because I know there's people that stick to like their Minecrafts and their Final Fantasies, and they don't budge from that. And when they do, their stream suffers, so they don't go to other games. Like,
well,
they're
from a viewer's perspective, like, I don't enjoy somebody who only sits on one game. If a whole year goes by and you're still playing the same game, like, I applaud you for being really good at it or having a passion for it. Like, I'm not trying to take that away from you, but I get bored. You know, I might get a little bit interested if it's something I kind of liked and now there's a DLC or, you know, like a new twist. Like, cool, great. Or maybe that streamer has like a personal challenge.
There's so much shit out there too. So much.
Well, there really is, but I think it's just so much more fun when you can create a community and also, you know, to a point of like new stuff coming out or for a chance to kind of jump in and, you know, like I was saying earlier, you can. I don't think there's anything wrong with like temporarily or maybe for a couple of weeks kind of hyper focusing on just that game or mostly that game, with the intention of kind of rotating some other things back as you know, get a chunk out of it, give it a chance. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but why limit yourself? You know,
that is true.
You're limiting your community, yourself, your happiness. You know, say I play a game where, you know, I'm super good. I build an entire community about it, and, you know, from it. And then I'm like, you know what? Like, I think I hate this game now. Like, your community, your channel, happens. It's going to suffer. So again, why limit yourself? I think it's perfectly okay to introduce yourself as that. Cause say like, you know, you want to hook up, like an emulator or something and play like Pokemon Yellow for a week.
Right.
Just because. And everybody who's a Pokemon fan is going to pop in, have a good time. And when it's over, it's over. Or maybe you won't even finish it, but it's okay. And if there's somebody who's like, oh, I really like when Steve plays Destiny, you know, they might be like, okay, I'll hang out for a little bit. I'll say hi, but maybe I'll leave because they're waiting for Destiny. But it's not like you're going to lose that person because you're only doing it for a week or so.
Right. Variety streamer, variety podcast, variety games. You're going to get different kind of people for doing different kind of things. And I like that. As long as you're growing, whether it's by a little bit, whether it's by a lot and you hit lightning, as long as you're growing, that should be the goal.
Absolutely. But again, there are, you know, different types of streamers for everybody. You know, like I'm considered half the time to be like a makers and crafters type stream because I do plus ultra builds where I build custom gaming computers, you know, every other week or every couple weeks or so. So that brings something new. So a lot of people come in strictly for that. And then in between, they consider my variety streaming just like time between the next session or when the parts come in. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, I usually prefer the kind of streams where the girls are painting on their body and they call me hun.
Nope, not for me. But
is that just chatting?
I've popped into a few of them. I'm not gonna knock them.
No.
I think like I don't know how much like longevity is in it, but obviously with Twitch being a, you know, primarily a male community, you know what I mean? They're going to build up quick. And a lot of them have amazing personalities. It's not just like it's a woman popping up on camera and it's just like, okay, sometimes yes, but a lot of times like they're really good. Their channel set up really nice. They're very friendly. They acknowledge you. They do raids. You know, they do everything they're supposed to do. The difference is they're just doing art, which is on their body. And I don't think that that's an issue as long as you stay within Twitch's guidelines, right?
Yeah, they use the pasties and, you know, they're very nice to talk to, the personalities or whatever you said.
Yeah, and generally speaking, if they get some usually a man who's out of pocket, like in the chat, or, you know, just getting disrespectful or saying the wrong things, they're really quick to kick or ban that individual who's, you know, potentially being disrespectful or, you know, whatever. Like,
you need a couple mods on that because they're gonna come in with the whispers and they're gonna come in with the, you know, just saying the usual scumbag stuff.
Yeah, and I think like with things like that, there's a certain level of maturity that comes along. You know, it's easy to like make jokes at or whatever, but at the end of the day, seriously, I mean, like it is considered art. Like there's colleges for years. How many movies have you seen where somebody goes to like a college for the first time in art class and like some dude stands up and gets like, you know, butt ass naked and everybody's got to like, you know, draw him and stuff. Like that's a real thing. And that takes a sense of maturity. It's not meant to be sexual. Same way, you know, that this is, you know, so if people pop in and you get numbers because you're quietly making it sexual, whatever, power to them. Again, if they're not breaking the rules. But this brings us to a really important topic today. I think that's a good segue.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. OnlyFans recently was just like, hey, you know what? Starting October, we're no longer going to allow, you know, sexually explicit content on our platform.
Well, that's to an extent. If you read about it, you can still have these girls posing however they want to. You just can't crush bugs or poop on people anymore. They're not allowing that. It has to be within their guidelines.
Well, no. So kind of what we're saying from like an artistic standpoint, which they haven't really given all the details yet. It's kind of open to interpretation. Like, you know, you can still have nudity. However, you know, I'm just going to call it for what it is. You know, the porn, like that's done. Like there, you know what I mean? Like that's a thing that exists and it's done. A couple of things here. You guys are probably wondering where I'm going with this. You know, why we're talking about OnlyFans on a nerdy network. Again, the segue, I believe that this does to some degree matter to the Twitch community, and we'll get to that. But before we get there, OnlyFans is wild for building an entire platform on these girls' backs. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's really what did it. Because nobody needed OnlyFans because Patreon was around. And Patreon didn't really allow that for the most part. Like, it happened, but not much. They did that.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Now, me and you both know from doing the Body Snatchers podcast is that clean content is easier to sell than explicit. 100%. So now you see, like, yeah, you got that girl you went to high school with doing all kinds of fun stuff on OnlyFans. God bless her, not blaming her. But then you also got Floyd Mayweather that has an OnlyFans. And he's just doing like regular boxing content, you know, regular celebrity content. He's not doing nothing explicit.
Right.
He's doing stuff that's clean. Now, he's Floyd Mayweather. This is the hot girl at high school I used to lie to, so she liked me more. So
Gotcha.
Who's going to be bringing in more revenue for OnlyFans? I think this was the idea for, well, not the idea for Tumblr, but they thought that they would get more income for having clean content. And
that's exactly what OnlyFans is doing, but not necessarily for like somebody like Mayweather specifically. But it has to do with like a lot of investors. Like there's a lot of banks in the articles that I was reading that basically like won't do work with OnlyFans because it's OnlyFans. And to me that's kind of wild. So it's like, I don't want to necessarily choose one side or the other, but I do kind of feel some type of way about that. It's almost like they treated these women like slaves or something.
And they are running that platform right now because in their profiles on Reddit, they'll say top point something percent, top whatever percent. So they are dominating the platform. But I feel like OnlyFans wouldn't make this decision if they knew there wasn't more potential for making money.
I mean, yes, but it might only be short term. I mean, because they're looking at large amounts of money up front and like better deals, etc. So it's going to put them in a position to be like Patreon. You know, that's what Patreon did for a long time. I mean, they still do it, but nobody really talks about it the way they used to because OnlyFans stepped in, because OnlyFans offered this and then also this other thing. And this other thing, it really put power in the hands of sex workers. And that's super important, you know, for a few reasons. Like we saw with COVID hitting its peak, that like sex workers on a small scale, like, so let's say strippers and things like that, you understand that they were denied like unemployment, right?
Right.
Which is wild because like they're still like workers, like they have like a legitimate job. Like just because it's frowned upon doesn't mean that they aren't people who also need to survive because we're in a global pandemic. And I'm
sure everyone's seen the meme where it's like, you're going to get your waitresses back at this date when OnlyFans starts cracking down.
Man, look, it's like, it is what it is. But the thing is like the reason that sex work is so lucrative is because the very same people that are, you know, dismissing it and saying it's frowned upon are the people that, are going in and supporting this and paying this money quietly. You know what I mean? Like somebody's paying for it. And there's an episode of South Park from years ago that I think is a little bit funny, where Butters essentially becomes a pimp, right?
Right.
He starts a kissing company, and he he starts a kissing company, like, poor innocent Butters, and he's like, this is my girl Sally, and she gets kisses for $3, and hugs for $3, and kisses are $5. Oh, so you can see where this is going. So like, he ends up acquiring more girls, and Butters, bless his soul, ends up having a lot of like women in his now pimp status, but he doesn't fully understand what he's doing. And for that matter, neither do the women, kind of.
When he moves his desk closer to the girl and he's like, hey, bitch, you want to make some motherfucking money?
No. We're not. That's not the point of this. They can watch.
I know what episode you're talking about, though. Go ahead and continue.
But what I'm saying is there's a scene in there where Butters goes into a bank, and he sits down with this bank representative, and he says, something along the lines of like, hey, I have started a kissing company, and I would like to get out a loan so that I can establish benefits and like low income housing, for my employees, right? Who are basically sex workers. And the woman behind the desk snaps. She goes, you will get out of here with this filth, this disgusting habit, X, Y, Z, whatever. And she's screaming, and her boss comes out, so he's the top guy at the bank. And he looks at, Butters and the worker, and he goes, what's going on out here? And she tells him. And before he responds, Butters looks at him and he goes, hey, I know you. You're, Mr. Blank Blank. He's like, you like to get kisses behind, like the alley and over at the motel from my girl X, he starts naming off things. And the guy looks at him, and then Butters gets the loan. Now I know it's South Park. It's silly. It was supposed to be a play on stuff, but like, let's talk about that for a second. The reason that they were able to make that episode is because that's a real thing.
It's definitely a real thing, 100%.
And it's just wild that sex workers get condemned when they're doing like what they do. And I'm not here to change the game. I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying it's just a little wild to me that you choose when you want it to be important or not important.
Well, it's when it's convenient. I mean,
apparently, yeah. So
it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. They're all moving to different websites now. Like my Reddit account is hooked all over, and they're already on websites that I never even heard of asking for subscriptions. So it's not like you're ever going to stop it. That's what makes me think the company is doing that because they have a plan straight and narrow to make more of a profit somewhere else. And to get that profit, you gotta tone down the explicit content. I get it 100%.
Well, I mean, we're going to see what happens as far as all that's concerned, but kind of getting to the point, because I'm not a fan of what OnlyFans is doing to these workers that they built a platform on. You've got a lot of them came from, forget it. I'm going to talk about it anyways for a second. In like the porn industry, I don't know if you know too much about the conditions and stuff. There's a lot of interesting, heartbreaking like things, but a lot of these, celebrities in that industry and, whatever it is that they do, they are not treated very well for the most part. They're not, compensated properly. A lot of games are played for these, for what they do. It's wild. And it's all in the hands of like, these usually men, not always, but usually that run these establishments and just treat them like whatever, because they can get away with it.
Right.
And that's problematic. So OnlyFans, what it did was give these women the opportunity to not have to endure all the crap that they were before and to make a lot more money for their actual fans. It took the power from these, people that were manipulating them and, the entire scene and brought it on over here to this side. So now they can do something. They can do it privately from their own home. They don't have to be subjected to a lot of like radically wild things. Like you'll have to read separately. I don't even want to talk about it in the podcast because it's so touchy, but it's just like insane. Right. So, in that right, like I promote it. I'm here for it. So I think it sucks that like they're going to lose that, whether or not you support it. Like, if you want to, like, just like anything else, if you're going to do it over there. And if that works for you and there's a community that supports it and all that, and that's your safe haven and everybody's doing well, the people that are there for a reason. They want to spend the money. The people that want to make the money are making the money. Like, cool. Right. Like where's the problem? Like, who's it hurting?
Right. Like you see Just Chatting, they come up and it's just a girl on her bed. laying backwards, fully clothed, but she's having a conversation. It's sort of like the form of a podcast. She's talking with people and she's giving her opinion. You know, I'm not hating. If it works, it works. I wish I can do it. I got to do something else.
Absolutely. But see, here's where things start to get funny, though. So, like I just said, and this is kind of how I feel. You know, there's a platform for that. You want that? Right. Go there. Do that. Be that. Own that. I support it. What I don't like is what has been going on with the Twitch community, where things are really tied in with a lot of these, you know, OnlyFans people who are, I mean, look, I get it. They're using the Twitch platform to kind of further, you know, their income. You know, you get on there, you go live, you talk about it here, you say, hey, I'm here on Twitch. Here's all these followers. You can talk to me for free. And then hopefully you can come over here and give me some money. You know, I get it. It's a sales pitch basically. But I think that's problematic for the Twitch community, for the makers and crafters, for the video game, you know, players, you know, musicians, just whatever you're doing. It creates this like awkward level of competition where it's really hard for smaller streamers, whatever it is that you do, to compete with somebody that's, you know, offering something that's, you know, so sought after in a predominantly male, you know, like audience and platform.
I agree. And you see it more and more because a lot of these girls are on TikTok. So you go to the TikTok, you see their link tree, and then their accounting, like they cover it up for OnlyFans for some reason, but they always say accounting. That's your OnlyFans. And they also got a Twitch. So like the competition right now, you see more and more girls. If they do OnlyFans, they're doing Twitch. You know, it goes hand in hand. They probably the same equipment that they use. It's hand in hand. Now when OnlyFans starts, you know, tightening their restrictions, you can do less and less. People might get more bored with you because you can't be as creative as before. They're going to spend more time on Twitch and they're going to have that low cut shirt. And a lot of the new streamers are going to get intimidated, may not want to do it. A lot of the streamers that have been growing a lot are going to see a little bit of a stunt.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of a gray area. And to be really clear, I'm not speaking from the perspective of like women have it so easy or whatever. Like, is the platform predominantly men that are viewing? Sure. But also, you know, if you want to have that argument, you can say that men apparently dominate Twitch. If you actually look at the statistics for like the biggest streamers that are currently out there, it's all men in the top 5, top 10, you know, for revenue, for viewers, for all of it, you know, for whatever that thing may be. So, you know, women may overall be taken over, but men are still kind of at the top. And in that right, it's like, I think it's unfair to say that this is like a male versus female thing. I know I have a lot of female friends, streamers, cosplayers who kind of get put in a rock and a hard place because, you know, there's this other woman who does exactly what they do, but, you know, they're pushing something that they themselves don't want to offer.
And that's rough. That's rough. Imagine if I could do something physically right now to like reach partner or something like that. Like it's one of those questions. Would you do it? What are you willing to sacrifice? For a girl, you're sacrificing a lot if you don't want to put out that kind of image of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes frustrating. I think, you know, and I cannot speak for women, so that's not what I'm saying here. But in the best that I can kind of like put myself in that position, you know, and you could say a male perspective too. It's not as popular, but you can definitely say a male perspective too. The pressure that comes from considering doing something like an OnlyFans and attempting to do like, even if you don't want to be like a full blown like, you know, sex worker with like full blown like nudity or anything, the pressure for considering doing like lewds or something is high because, you know, it's really frustrating to get on day after day after day, you know, and not be able to grow. And then somebody who puts in half the amount of effort, if that, is like blowing you out of the water because there's this, you know, chance or, you know, whatever. If somebody's willing to pay behind that paywall, like then they can go over there. It's just super frustrating, you know, because Twitch is.
And I don't know if you browse a lot of channels. I when I'm bored, I go see different channels, just see their setups, just to see their community, you know, have a little fun. And there'll be girls that, you know, probably just came home from work, glasses like yours, shirt like mine, you know, with their little community doing it. And then I've noticed an increase of girls just streaming wide angle in their swimsuit in their room. That's just how they do it. And
well, I mean, and
I'm not hating if it works. it works.
I'm not hating the
but-
player. You know, I mean, I'm definitely hating the game at that point, because if there was like an alternative to Twitch that was, you know, all, you know, like large percentage women, and I had a better opportunity to, you know, like say they were like, yo, like if you just stream, you know, in your tank top or take your shirt off or, you know, whatever I'm allowed to do within the confines, and that meant more viewers, I'm going to be honest, like that's something that I would seriously consider.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if my competition is blowing me out of the water because that's what they're doing, you know, I want people to watch me. I want to do well. I want to grow my channel. So I'm not hating on them at all. Like there's, you know what I mean? The game, they didn't design the game, but they definitely learned, you know, how to play it. But even for those people who are doing the best that they can, I mean, you got to wonder, like, is the pressure of somebody who has this OnlyFans content, does that like an incentive to do the bikini streams and the, hot tub streams and all that other stuff, because that's like as far down the line you're willing to walk, because if you don't do something, you don't stand out, right?
Right.
So I guess like the whole point of this conversation, I'm not really trying to point the finger in any one direction outside of lightly stating my own opinion, but I'm curious to see how this is going to affect the streaming community, whether that be Twitch or, you know, gaming on Facebook or anywhere else, any place that you go, because Twitch has rules that says you can't talk about OnlyFans, and there are streamers that have done it, that have had, you know, temporary bans, slaps on the wrist, like just to name a few. Like, let's see here. I got Indie Fox. It has 2 X's. That was somebody who was banned from one point. I think it was TikTok, actually. Maybe not Twitch, but she has a Twitch. Misbehaving, Amaranth, Jasmine Fox. Why is it always a fox with these girls? There's no
sexiest animal known to man.
There's no dudes in this article, but again, I'm just naming a few, you know, people who are like larger names that have been affected, have had bans and stuff.
And I'm sure it's nothing for them just to make another one, right?
Well, it's temporary. It's only a couple days. I don't think I've seen any that have like had a permanent ban. You know, it's just like, yo, you shouldn't have said that thing. You're out of here for 72 hours. Like, you know, so like Twitch isn't really like punishing, but I do think that at least temporarily, this is going to level the playing field. This is going to give a lot of opportunity, you know, like it's going to alleviate a lot of pressure, at least until the next thing comes around, because there's going to be something else. Like they're going to come out with something, somebody's going to make a website, and it's going to be the next OnlyFans. But until we get there, I think that it will allow for like healthier, more fair competition in the Twitch community, you know, for everybody alike that doesn't want to participate in these things.
Unless you're really good at like Twitch, it's going to be hard for a man to, you know, play Minecraft and compete with this girl on another channel who got a portable hot tub at Aldi's. She's in her swimsuit, and if you subscribe, she'll write your name on herself in permanent marker and talk to you for a couple seconds. It's very
creative thinking.
Like, iffy. It's very iffy.
I mean, you know, it's just in general, man, it's so difficult to figure out how to play into this game without fully buying in. Like, I think my whole first year on Twitch, I made a lot of jokes about, you know, starting an OnlyFans, you know, and like what I could do creatively. And, you know, people in my chat were just like, show feet pics, you know, like whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is getting weird. It's getting so weird. You know, so again, like it does put a lot of pressure on you. And to be honest, like as a man, I've had a lot of pressure from a handful of female Twitch viewers in my community. It's been a while, but it has happened where they're just like, yo, are you seriously going to do a thing? And I was just
man,
like,
just send them nudes.
No, thank you. That's just not how I get down. And that's okay.
But like we said in the beginning, as long as you're having fun streaming, and you know, that's what you said, as long as you have fun streaming, and what I said, as long as you see a little bit of growth, it all doesn't matter. It all, like, you may have to adjust some stuff if they're, you know, taking your community, or you're not having any growth. You got to change something about you. Whether it's a hot tub, whether it's your setup, whether it's the way you talk to your community, there's always stuff that you got to change, man or girl. There's always a different path to this, and there's a way to make it work. I do believe that there's a formula that works for everybody.
I mean, I totally agree, because there's people who are ridiculously successful from the ground up who don't play into this by any means. But all I'm saying is that, you know, the rise to fame or, you know, success, quick money is there when these options are presented. It's not a guaranteed, even in that route. Like, it's not like, oh, I did this thing, so now I'm going to make lots of money. Like, sometimes people make an OnlyFans and be like, yo, ain't nobody subbing. Like that's a whole thing. That's a reality check. That's a thing. But again, I think it would be better to take this variable out of the equation
Yeah.
And that way things can level out and be a little bit different. It's hard enough to compete with somebody who's creative or male, female, however you identify as being very attractive to a specific group that is ultra supportive, whatever. I think it'll just alleviate some pressure. Like, you shouldn't ever feel like you have to do something you're uncomfortable with in order to compete in something that's supposed to be so creative and free.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see, like, what's the top 10 for just chatting right now.
Take a peek. Let's we're live.
Oh yeah, go
here.
ahead. You got it in front of you. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll see if I can see it, but let me know if you come across. So bear with us a quick moment.
And I don't know where I heard this tip while he's looking. If you're looking for something to stream and have some moderate success, you're supposed to look at the top games being streamed, ignore the first 10, and then the next 10, pick one of those games that you want to play. If you're just starting out, if you're trying to get to affiliate, that's a good way to start.
So here for just chatting, like everything that's in the higher percentile, I don't see anything that is questionable, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and that's great. I mean, there's attractive people on here, both male, female.
Okay,
but I don't see like a hot tub stream or like anything like super crazy, which is great. And what that tells me is that there's still hope in the community. There's people that still love Twitch for what it is,
right,
and B, that Twitch is doing a good job in not promoting things that they do the best they can. It doesn't seem like it, but these temporary bans and things, even if it's not permanent, these things are placed into the community to just help. They don't want to punish anybody, especially if somebody's bringing in viewers to Twitch. Like, it's like, yo, we want you here, just not to push them out of Twitch so that you can make your own pocket money.
Right. And I like the just chatting. I like something creative. I like somebody with unique talent doing it, especially when I'm searching it. Like if someone was doing like a masterclass on streaming and they reach some success, I do want to be in there. I do want to ask some questions. I do want to hear questions being asked. It's just stuff like that, or like a famous musician or one of my pro wrestlers that are doing it now, just chatting. It's that kind of stuff is interesting.
I mean,
but
it is.
I don't know how you would moderate that.
And that's difficult enough. I just, going all the way back to my original statement. So my opinion, I think that these things being as separate as possible is just the best way to do it. I'm not knocking it. Like, if you want that and it's there for you, share it out in your normal forms of social media, go in, subscribe, put whatever monthly amount that you want, make that happen. But, I don't like it coming down here and like, we all got to take, I wouldn't say an L, but like we all have to fight tooth and nail, with something that like a lot of us just can't compete with.
No, not unless I stream in my bathtub.
I mean, you could. Twitch is going to hit you with that ban. I'll see you next weekend.
72 hours.
Roll the dice. But it's just something that we've seen, going on for a long time, because before even OnlyFans was around, I have a lot of cosplayer, female friends who felt a lot of pressure in, spending hours upon putting these, just immaculate, like, cosplays together that were so accurate. They looked beautiful, stunning,
right.
All these, descriptors. But then you get 50 likes, and then there's this individual over here who has, 5,000 likes because they're like cosplay, and it's like a bikini with Pikachu's face on it, and it's like disrespectful to the art. So I think, and granted, like, that is considered like lewd, but still, like, that is their competition. Call it what you want. They're just like, damn, how do I compete with that? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
it's
I
rough.
work so hard.
And these girls are so talented and so beautiful. And then like, they have to be thinking, what would happen if I just took this outfit and I low cut it right here? How would my clips do? How would my streams do from this moment forward? How would, my commissions do from this moment forward? It's a very stressful decision.
Yeah. I mean, but to kind of like, correct you, and probably myself at some point, like, I'm sure that I've said it because that is the larger pool, but like, this is not happening with just women. I mean, this is absolutely happening, with men too. Like, it's like, I work out. Sometimes I wear a tank top because it's hot, like, it just is what it is. And I like the freedom of my sleeves. But I mean, like, I've seen dudes like, push really, really hard with some, borderline things that they wear that, Twitch doesn't even have a standard for, because it's hard to write, or I can see like the thirst, and they do the exact same thing. And it's just, I know you can't keep it separate. I know that forever, sex sells, the more risque you can get the more that magazine is going to sell. You know, the more that that clickbait is, you know, like somebody wants to click on it. You know,
Right.
like whatever, like it is what it is. You know, do you want to see Luffy, or if you put a hot picture of Nami Swan, people are gonna be like, oh, I do like Nami. Like that's a whole thing. So I don't know, man. I mean, again, we don't have the answers. I just, you know, and bring it to the attention. I thought it'd be an interesting subject to discuss.
If I could, I would work with my shirt off. See the snakes rolling while I'm putting in work while I'm throwing steel.
We'll call you Snake Man. Or are you Bounce Man? How's your dieting going?
It's no good.
So you're Bounce Man. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym though. I'm tightening up.
That's
no
good.
Choice.
You're like the world's swollest mushroom.
I'm 201 right now.
I got
I'll send you pics later. $5. $5. I'll send you pics.
Are you kidding me right now? It's monthly?
All right, 3.5.
If I give you 5, will I get can I have like one picture a month?
I don't know.
Weird?
I'll see if there's some website that can handle that for us. Handle all the paperwork.
I hope the next OnlyFans like operates on door-to-door sales.
I'm old school. Premium Snapchat. Let's go.
Like you just bust out a wallet and you're just like, so here's this photo, and for $5 a month. Like, could you imagine?
Do it like in Vegas. Do it like in Vegas where they're snapping the tickets.
Yeah. in 1980, like that would have been lit. It's like, okay, so you'll mail me one of these for just $5 a day or a month. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, getting on to other things. Let's talk. We got a good maybe 10 minutes left. Since we've been
talking about this a lot. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Absolutely not. I would at least like to. Well, I mean, do you want to hit this subject now, or do you want to save it for potentially next week? That's a serious question because like this episode took a while. Do you want to get into it?
Is this only going to be an OnlyFans episode?
I mean, it can be.
I mean, this movie did just come out, so I guess we can save it for next episode. I think Jay's going to be sick for a while, so we could.
Yeah, I mean, if you, let's just talk about it. So
this is going to be a long episode. Then we can knock it out in 10 minutes. Go ahead.
All right, 10 minutes. Go. Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds. I love this movie, and as I'm saying that, I think we should talk about it next week.
we can knock it out in 10 minutes. Now, this movie has been trying to get made for 3 years, on and off. Of course, COVID fucked everything up. But there was a lot of work that went into this movie. So I knew it was going to be decent, but I seen it the first time, other than the theater, because I haven't been to the theater for 2 years. But then I thought I need to go into the theater. So I stopped it maybe an hour in. I went to the theater today, and that movie, front to back, beginning to end, was just fun. It was just a fun movie, even if you don't like video games, because it really didn't replicate any video game, maybe a loose leaf GTA. But the best thing about the movie was in the story, was in the comedy.
I mean, I just think the plot was so much fun. Like, not the part where, you know, they have an AI that, you know, keeps expanding. I mean, like, it was all right. Like, it was necessary to explain the story. But just the general basis of this is you've got an NPC who, you know, becomes aware of his existence.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah, because they're on a constant loop, just like you would a video game. Every NPC has a loop of what they're doing, what they need to do in the game. And this guy just eventually, he has a code that the developers put in him that's supposed to support him to evolve, pretty much, his personality, his needs.
Absolutely. But I think emotionally, like, it was just written really, really well. Like, I super enjoyed. Like, it's almost as if he was like a sheep that woke up one day and was like, yo, I don't want to follow this dude with the stick, you know, with the herd. Like, I don't want to do it. And he would talk to his other NPCs and just couldn't, you know, like, rationalize like their thoughts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he couldn't make it make sense. Like, he's just like, all right, guys, I'm gonna do this thing. Like, whoa, you're gonna do what? You're gonna do what? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna walk across the street. They're like, we don't do that. You've got an A to B plan, sir. You are here, you go there, and we do it again tomorrow. And that's it.
And as love stories go, like, one of our favorite movies is Your Name. And that's essentially just one big love story. And this one, they did it to where it's like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't cringy. It wasn't uncomfortable. Like, everybody could relate to it. And it was done so well because it wasn't pressured so much. It's like, all right, here's a little bit of romance. Now here's a little bit of comedy. Now here's a little bit of action. Now here's a little bit of something for the actual video game people. Now here's a little bit of plot. You know, they did it so well. And the movie was almost 2 hours long. That runtime was pretty long, and people don't even notice.
At the end of that movie, I felt excited. I felt like I wanted to focus more on like streaming and podcasting. Like I could do more. I got my studies, like everything, like just in watching, like, you know, these young entrepreneurs, you know, build a game and create this algorithm and challenge the system and do something new, into watching, you know, Ryan Reynolds' personal growth. And that it was really weird, ways I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be fun, loosely related to video games. And I walked out of there just feeling like I read a Gary Vee book or something front to back.
Yeah, it was, I know what you're talking about. The feeling was strangely inspirational. Like the last 20 minutes, it was like, you know, it explained freedom in a way that can relate different to everybody, but get them moving somehow.
Oh, absolutely. And I just feel like that's something that everybody needs. I would strongly recommend this movie. I mean, if you're looking for something that, you know, Steven's words, something that's inspirational, something that's fun, something that's relatable to, you know, with video games, it's, you know, fun for the whole family.
All ages. Yeah. All ages can go.
This is it across the board. And they know their audience. Like a lot of the jokes are straightforward, where it might be chuckly for an adult, hilarious knee slappers for a kid. But then they also make like references to things, you know, going as far back as like the 80s, maybe even 70s, like very lightly. That I don't know if you caught on any of those. I don't want to do any spoilers in regards to that, but like, it was fun.
Yeah. And this is for the people that always think this. In this movie, Ryan Reynolds isn't too much. He isn't overly dominant in his, you know, quirky personality. It all fits so well, and you can tell they put so much effort and so much passion into this movie. Everybody, that I'm curious to see, like, you know, there's people that review movies other than us that I vaguely look at. I'm curious to see what they think about this movie, because there's really nothing they can do to actually strike this movie down from like an A, from like a 5 out of 5. I'm curious to see. Is there anything you didn't like about the movie? Offhand?
There's really like nothing that I can say. Like I try as hard as I can to, you know, not be biased, but just be like, yo, here are some things I think could have been better. Where they missed. And here are some things that like I enjoyed. And I usually try to spend more time on what I enjoyed, because, you know, that's what we're talking about, unless it's just so bad that I have, you know, that's all we can discuss. But I think that this is one of those movies where they kind of just did everything right. I think they took their time with it. I'm not going to say it's like the best movie I've ever seen in my life, but I will say that this is the kind of movie that like I would love to go and purchase it on DVD or, you know, a digital copy or whatever that I would have for like my own personal enjoyment and rewatch. Definitely. The rewatchability is like vitally important. And there's so many movies, even some Marvel movies, where it's like, I could rewatch this someday, but like, it doesn't really click in my mind. I'm like, okay, what's next? What's more? This is a good movie, like start to finish. You're not hoping for a sequel or anything. I think it ends on a pretty good note. And you're like, this was good. This was a nice, modern age, like family, you know, movie.
What is Steve a fan of? Closure. And this movie, it wraps everything up perfectly. Little bow on top, boom, done. No wasted time. Everything lines up the way it should be. This movie is so well written, so funny. And I think the focus of this movie was just to keep your focus while you're watching the movie. There was literally no ups and downs like there is in usual movies. There's no passive period.
I don't think, you know how like in some movies, the plot, like you kind of need to like backtrack. You're like, it can be really easy to miss something. I think that in this movie, they did a really good job in just telling, you know, the story overall in a way where like, if you had to take like a minute, like run to the bathroom really, really fast, you know what I mean? And come back, you're not going to be totally lost, because they make sure to kind of reiterate like what's happening and why a few times, which is important. Like I hate movies where like, if you miss the tiniest thing, you're derailed for 30 minutes.
I agree. And on the counterpart of that, if you leave to go to the bathroom, you're going to miss something enjoyable.
Oh, absolutely. Like, again, you can follow the plot when you come back easily. You're not, but there's so many fun scenes like back to back. You don't want to miss anything. I guess that's probably
exactly. And I'm glad you agree with it. This is the first time I was so excited to go back to the movies, because this is the first time since COVID shut everything down that I was able to go back. And I just feel like the whole experience was like, I was really excited to go, like a kid in a theme park, pretty much. I didn't realize how much I missed the movies as opposed to this part. And then all the trailers, I wanted to see everyone. I want to review everyone. I want to talk about everyone. It was just all around a fun time.
Did you see the trailer for probably not related to much. We may not discuss it, but maybe, in real life for, I think it was Lamb or it was called or something like that.
No,
With like
I didn't see that.
Okay. I won't say anymore, but it looked really cool.
Okay. I'll look it up, but I was just going to ask you, did you see that new Sopranos movie?
Oh, I wasn't a Sopranos fan. I don't have an issue with it. I just missed the bandwagon. Don't get me wrong.
All right. Well, I'll ask Jay because that movie looks phenomenal. Soprano fans, I don't know anyone that watched that show and didn't enjoy it 10 out of 10. So that movie is going to be huge. But I also liked Duel. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for that. That has pretty much every big star.
Looks like it had some potential.
It does. I mean, I'm going to see all of them because I miss the theater, but that Soprano movie looks like it's going to be phenomenal. But going back to Free Guy, I don't think people are talking about this movie enough. I don't think they're giving it enough credit because I went in there thinking it was just, all right, nobody hated it. That's what I was thinking. Nobody hated it. And then I came out. I'm like, that was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I would say that this is better than like movies like Ready Player One. Like, I'm not even trying to like challenge it directly. I'm just saying like what you got afterwards. Like Ready Player One was like, there was just like a lot happening.
A lot happening. If gun to my head, this was better than Ready Player One because it was just simply awesome. It was very simple. It was stress free. It didn't seem long. Ready Player One seemed long.
Yeah, and I think it was better than even like Detective Pikachu. I think Detective Pikachu was a good movie, but in ways it was a little too watered down sometimes for adults to fully enjoy.
Right.
Again, not knocking it. It was a pretty good family movie, but I think even like Real Guy in an even better way hits that whole, like everybody palette, like where adults will have a more enjoyable time. And I don't think that children are going to suffer at the hands of that. I think it's still like funny and quirky enough.
Right. It's right in the middle of everything. So it's like, it really cannot be denied.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that don't feel that way, but again, I can't give this movie enough credit, enough love. I hope that we get a lot more things, in relation to this. I know with like Idris Elba got announced as doing Knuckles for Sonic 2. So I'm hoping that's going to be a lot better than the first one. Cause the first one was all right,
Right.
Not like my favorite thing ever. I didn't hate it, but I think my expectations were maybe a little higher than they should have been. So I'm hoping that the second one, with Idris, because Idris doesn't make a lot of bad movies, but he's voice acting. So like, let's see.
Well, listen, I loved it. Everyone see it. If there's something you didn't like, please tell us. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of our socials are at bodysnatchersmedia.com. Speaking of Sonic, I still want to do an episode with all the hosts to where we talk about all the stuff that we missed during COVID, that we missed during our hiatus. And I also like to do a show with all of us together, just talking about streaming, our journey streaming, because we're all pretty far along. I like to, exchange information on that. But yeah, that's all I got for me. I'm out of beer. Fuck.
I am drinking H2O, but I'm nearly out though. And I think that we're pretty much at time. So, hey, if you guys, want to chime in, I hope that we didn't, offend anybody in our conversation. It's a touchy conversation in the first half of this show, but I think it's just, one that we wanted to, bring to the attention of, just people that enjoy content creation. How do you feel about it? Do you think that this is awful? Do you feel like me where like, oh, this is bad, but also I think these things should be separate. That will like level things for streamers, like whatever your stance is.
Well, I think they should be separate, and I'm a customer, so I'm subscribed to 2. So my opinion should hold some weight.
Thank you for that information. I don't know what to do with it, but thank you very much for that information.
Just keep it in the bank. Keep it in the bank for a rainy day.
Okay. I absolutely will. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for, stopping in, hanging out with us. You can head over to bodysnatchersmedia.com, check out all the social links, find us there, follow us wherever. Also make sure to check out Steven and I's, Twitch. If you ever want to, have like a one-on-one conversation, by all means, we encourage you to. There will be links in the description once this episode airs.
There you go.
All right. Take care.
Later.